Entering a new arc in the anime, we naturally get a new opening to open the new season, and in our case, the new year. As an avid reader of the manga, I can tell you right now that the anime launchers are going to be eating well this 2024. And oh boy, are these animators cooking! With a wonderful new art style fitting of the Island of Intelligence, animator Masami Mori working once again under the goddess Megumi Ishitani, who both brought us the amazing visuals of episodes 957 and 1015. And the last opening, Sekai no Owari. They bring us yet another stunning masterpiece of an opening. And while today I will not be focusing on the music written by the incredible Hiroshi Kitadani, who by the way wrote We Are, I will be focusing on the large amount of breadcrumbs that the pair has left in the massive amount of spoilers, which fortunately is a blink and you miss it. So anime only watchers, close your eyes and ears, or don't, as we head into opening 26 of One Piece. The beginning scene shows all Straw Hats sitting around Luffy with something to tell them. Even showing Caribou in his barrel, they are all in their exact positions from the chapter. Even Jinbei, who is obscured by the mask. While Sora and Sanji are fighting, Luffy is laying down as he tells them his dream. The title card then rolls around and they walk forward, all dressed in their new Egghead outfits. Luffy then uses his sky floating boots, referencing chapter 1066 and volume cover 106. Then we cut to the Vega Force one, carrying the Sunny. And beneath them, you can see the sea beasts about to strike. We then see Luffy, Chopper, and Bonnie dig into Atlas's automatic food dispenser while Jinbei waits. Next shot we see Usopp, Sanji, Nami, Robin, and Frankie following Lilith, who's off camera, through the Fabrio base, like in chapter 1064. Luffy then finds our Iron Giant, and you can see Vegapunk Stella in the background. This is where Stella and Luffy meet for the very first time, and it's also a great contrast to the shot in chapter 1067. We zoom into Stella's Applehead with surrounding figures of pairings of the satellites. First, Chaka and Lilith, which are good and evil. Chaka and Lilith are picking on each other as referenced in chapter 1071. We then get Atlas and Edison. Atlas is cut from her intro panel in chapter 1062, and Edison is cut from his usual flying stance in practically any chapter. York laying on top of Pythagoras' head is a reference to when she later is the cause of how Esnake kills him in chapter 1074. Stella pops out clearly rattled and shows a level-faced door opening to show Kaku, Hattori, Lucci, and Stussy, whom all have quickly their faces covered by the C-0 masks. Their mission is to hunt down Stella. It transitions into Luffy and Chopper looking into the camera before exploring the level face, leading to Luffy breaking his sky boots. Luffy then leaps from the footage to the control room next to Zoro, replicating when Luffy was too tired to move and Zoro was made to stay behind, keeping track of Lucci and Kaku in chapter 1074. The room darkens and a few holograms pop out, first showing Stella and the satellites, as York smiles cheekily at the camera. Then Kizaru, Doll, Hibari, and Helmeppo with Garp. Kizaru has miso ramen in his mouth, which is his favorite food, as is revealed in the Vivrecard data books, and it's also the food that he is seen eating in chapter 1089. Then the Cross Guild pops out, Buggy, with Crocodile and Mihawk threatening him like in chapter 1058. Luffy heads soft screen and goes behind Buggy and Mihawk in Gear 5, grabs the very top of the screen and literally breaks through both the screen and consequently Buggy himself. The font used in the credits is the same as the one used for the satellite introductions in chapter 1065, even using the exact same kanji in Choji Jonemura being Masa, used for Chaka the Good. Masa means positive, good, or correct. After launching himself, Luffy puts on his goggles from his fight with Lucci in chapter 1070 before dropping down onto the Fabio base. Before Luffy appears, we'll see a hologram whale in the Banana Dragon hologram from chapter 1062. Luffy spins around like he does after his Gum Gum booming white foot, like in his fight with Lucci in chapter 1070, and goes giant for the very first time, referencing his fight against Kizaru in chapter 1092. In the process, doing a Gum Gum booming Dawn whip from chapter 1093. We cut to a Valon Pizarro's Full-Led Island form trying to capture Kobe, The scene is also exactly the same as when Kobe asks how to remove his cuffs, seconds before Aokiji freezes Hibari in chapter 1081. We see Bonnie's hand in a dark room reaching out. In front of it is Jinbei, Luffy, and Chopper, who have been affected by her powers from chapter 1064, into Kid Jinbei, slightly older version of Bat Timeline age 60 Luffy, now age 70, from SDS number 89, and an older version of Lock Point Chopper. We also see the age jewel scene dropped in chapter 1071 when Bonnie de-ages Vegapunk, and we also see the padlock from Kuma's memory room be destroyed as she moves her hand. In the darkness, we see some symbols drive by. In order, you can see Kuma's shirt crosshairs, the pause symbol also seen on his clothes, Nika's silhouette from chapter 1095, Saturn's Ushioni silhouette from chapter 1073, before it's fully revealed later, Bonnie's jewels, the target drawn on Kuma's back as a child in God Valley, and the mark of the Celestial Dragons. Shot 12 shows a glitchy hand with a black suit, giving Atlas a high five. This is the hologram girl from chapter 1062, who can interact with Atlas directly thanks to the light gloves. We see Beppo, Penguin, and Chachi, who have been affected by Doc Q's genderbender disease from chapter 1063, as the ship fills up with water from damage taken during their fight with Blackbeard. Cut to Sword and Full of It in battle formation. Hibari, Kujaku, Helmeppo, and groups, with a bar of Blackbeard pirate fodder behind them, who are turned flowery thanks to Hibari's GP flowers from the cover story in chapter 1073, just like she does in chapter 1080. Then, a similar shot of Sentomaru ordering the PX-3 pacifistas to attack the navy arriving on Egghead. The bar behind has the pacifistas charging up light from right to left as you would read a manga panel, before the lights seemingly transition to Kizaru charging up to leave Luffy behind in chapter 1094. Shot 17 shows Kuma breaking off of Lindbergh's repair station in chapter 1067 before leaving Tumaridua. That movement then transitions into Eshtar collapsing in the ground after receiving an attack from Nami in chapter 1077, but using his clearly shown green blood to use Senior Pink's swim suit. It seamlessly transitions into Bonnie now bursting out of the water in chapter 1060, now episode 1089, this one. We then see Kizaru showing a young Sentomaru his light powers in the flashback in chapter 1089. This is also a reference to how in chapter 1091 on the next page of the flashback he used the same move to defeat Sentomaru, which then cuts through the Vega Force like in chapter 1092 before crashing into the Frontier Dome. Shaka then ominously turns around as CP5, CP7, and CP8 members put their hands behind the glass, seconds before York shoots him in the head. A giant shadow then overtakes the Seraphim, so we see York's hand, which we now know the coloring of thanks to this same open, petting Esne, which is both referencing to when she pets her before turning to stone in chapter 1075, but also petting her either before or after she has ordered her to do so later in chapter 1079. Shot 23 shows S-Snake's star eyes becoming jewels, probably symbolizing how she turns a little bit more into Boa when she makes an exception for Luffy, who she now loves as well in chapter 1090. Her eyes transition into a jewel star and a bunch of H jewels from Bonnie's H83. The next shot being one of my favorites, Luffy transitions through outfits backwards. Order, it's Egghead, Onigashima, Wano, Big Mom's Tea Party, Whole Cake, Dressrosa, Lucci, Punk Hazard, Fishman Island, Marineford, Impel Down, Amazon Lily, Savaori, Thriller Bark, Annie's Lobby, Afro Luffy, Skypiea, Post Alabasta, Alabasta, Drum Island without a sleeve from the ending of the arc, and East Blue. His outfits shift as he takes 2 steps, showing the 2 steps that have been 2 parts of the story and the 2 parts of the grand line. As he takes his 2nd step, referencing the step into the new world, we see all the Straw Hats with different outfits and a ray of sunshine that shows the different locations in general order. Starting with Luffy alone in Marineford, he takes a step into Fishman Island, and the Straw Hats appear in their crew order, following him from Fishman Island and changing outfits as they walk into the story's areas. The lineup consists of the order of some of the popularity polls through the years. The first being when it shows Luffy in first, Zoro second, Sanji fourth, then Nami fifth, and Usopp sixth from the first popularity poll. Then the order of the remaining members starts in the fifth popularity poll, the first done post time skip, with Chopper in 7th, Robin in 11th, Frankie in 16th, and Brooke in 19th. The order follows the lineup of the shadows. Jinbei then quickly overtakes the other 4 in the 6th popularity poll conducted during Whole Cake in 6th place. Interesting to mention that as Sanji steps into Dressrosa, he seems to be in his So outfit, as he leaves So at the time of the Dressrosa arc. None of them show their Whole Cake or Wano outfits yet, and with Luffy turning back in his Dressrosa outfit, the sole exception is Jinbei, who without getting to complete a single step, changes from his Fishman Island outfit to Whole Cakes before cutting to the next shop. We transition into a side shot with the separation of the crew. Those in Whole Cake at the front with their Tea Party outfits, Luffy, Nami, and Sanji, while Zoro, who's in the back, with his Wano outfit as his in Wano. The order once again reflects the popularity poll, as for the first time, both in these shots and in the polls, Nami overtakes Sanji in popularity, taking the 3rd place in the 7th and most recent popularity poll. We quickly see them move forward, as we see their feet in the snow. While Luffy's isn't clear yet, we can see Sanji's velvet pants, Zoro's black robe, and Nami's red heels from the raid. As we see Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji leap in their post-Wano outfits into the Fabrio phase with their new Egghead outfits. This transitions into Luffy Gear 5 versus Awakened Lucci, and we see a gear from the tech rubble, which is also a reference to Luffy's final gear. It's then used to transition into Kid's Damned Funk, which is about to be intercepted and annihilated by Shanks before he can use it. This perfectly transitions to a mirroring of Blackbeard vs. Law in Winter Island, then Aokiji vs. Garp in Full Red, then S-Hawk vs. Zoro in the Labo phase before transitioning cleanly back to the Fabrio phase with Lucci vs. Luffy. All these fights are happening during the same day, almost at the same time when this shows it. We transition to Sabo firing at the Gorosei, and briefly glance at Imu's arrow that injures Cobra in chapter 1085. Sabo then looks up at Karasu's suit crows come from behind him to the skies of Maribia. This is probably a reference to when Sabo sent a message prior to entering the throne room in chapter 1084. We transition smoothly into news crews delivering the devastating news to the residents of Alabasta about their leaders. We see then Morgan covering up Vivi with his wing alongside Wapol, while glancing at the camera and doing a shh sign at the viewer as he smiles, as he quite figuratively and literally hides Vivi under his wing, thanks to Wapol, who is shocked at seeing something. The following news pages transition into the books from Ohara, what's probably the pond. We see 2 hands holding flowers. This is a reference to Vegapunk and Dragon in Ohara after the incident back in chapter 1066. We then see 19 swords in front of the now king of the kingless throne, Imu. The swords all have Imu's signature butterflies. As Sabo attempts to flee, bloody from the battle, he transitions into Kid and then Law, both also bloodied, facing their enemies, to then Kobe struggling in Fulale. Once again showing that all these events are happening at the exact same time. It then perfectly transitions into Vivi about to escape through the hole Wapol made in chapter 1085 and escape together, which then transitions into Bonnie extending her arms into Kuma's memory bubble in chapter 1071 that leads to the flashback in chapters 1074 and chapters 1095 all the way through to chapter 1102. It is now highly speculated that this is foreshadowing that Vivi will acquire the pop-up fruit in the future. But at the time of this recording, it is simply speculation. In the next shot, we see Luffy and the others walking forward one last time. On the left of Luffy, we see all those that left the crew after joining, and then came back to Luffy. And on his right are those who stayed since the moment they accepted him as their captain. We then get a zoom out of Egghead through a map feed, transitioning into a map of the new world from the red line to the light ahead that is Lafayette. Lastly, we see Luffy drop back down to when he told his dream in chapter 1060, right where we started the opening. Thank you so much for watching, and I am told that Netflix will now be taking up the Egghead arc every single week, so you can look forward to that. And this is my first time making a YouTube video, like fully edited for real and stuff, so hey, this is just one of many, and don't give me all too much slack. I attempted my best the last 3 days to make this. 3 or so days, I don't even know how many days it's been anymore. But I'm excited for what Egghead has to bring. Honestly, I already read everything, and I'll continue to keep reading it. But I hope that anyone that watches the anime has an amazing time, because Egghead is it's one of my favorite arcs. It is my favorite arc, to be honest. So to anyone that watched this video to the very end, I thank you, and I hope not only do you have a great day, but I hope that you have an amazing time with what's left of this incredible journey, and see it all animated finally, aside from what Kika, who is now an animator of Toei, animated for us. I'll put it over here for a second. He's done incredible work in the past, and he will continue to do incredible work in the future. And hopefully I will be able to make incredible work as well in the future. I really love Egghead. It's such a good arc, and I hope you'll love it as much as I do. So, hey, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the flip side. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.